Alrighty, welcome back, guys, to the Player Zone YouTube channel. And today, another new show coming to you guys today, the Away Days show, covering all things in the world of football. Here with my friend here, Antonio Galippo, who's covering all things here today. I'm really excited for this one. How are you today, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Pleasure to be on the show.
Yeah.
Keeping tabs on the podcast, on the YouTube channel so far, and good things are coming.
Really excited. And so, yeah, you know, we come towards the end of the Premier League season. It's both in the table, probably one of the most exciting years we've had in a while. So we've been about a week ago, and we're talking about, you know, the balance between the top and the bottom then. Unfortunately, my predictions are going pretty south. Liverpool are firing, and looks like Nottingham Forest might just be safe. But I guess starting off the early kickoff on Saturday there, I was captivated with this game. So Leeds and Newcastle end up being 2-2. But what a game from start to finish. We had two penalty goals there from Callum Wilson. Some interesting defending from Junior Firpo with a handball.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I guess Leeds salvaging a point in the end. Christensen with a great volley late on there. But you watch this game, so how'd you see the game?
Well, to start off with, Leeds took the early lead and really should have gone 2-0 up.
Yeah.
Bamford with the miss, and straight down the other end, we got Wilson getting a penalty. I think it was 2 or 3 minutes later. Yep. If Leeds go 2-0 up there,
it's hard coming back from Newcastle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I look at that watch a lot of I watch a lot of Ben Foster stuff now, and they always say you can't have it at that height, right? It's the most savable height. Robles has gone the right way, he's guessed the right way, but at that height, you're thinking you haven't. It's not a great penalty. It's very savable, and you know, as United fans, we watched the penalty shootout a few weeks ago in the FA Cup final. They were quality penalties, and that penalty looks like a guy who has been out of form this year. He's had a quiet year, Bamford, and I just thought you're putting it at sort of a height that's savable. You're asking for it to be saved many times.
Well, I think when you're taking a penalty, you've got to really either put power and hit one of the corners. Like he didn't look like he knew what he was doing before he was taking the penalty. Yeah. He put it in that in-between place in between the post and the middle of the goal. Yeah. He needs to either hit the corner or maybe slow it down and do what other penalty takers do, like a Bruno or a Messi, and really slow it down and wait for the keeper to dive. Because if you're not going to wait for the keeper to dive, you've really got to hit a corner.
100%. And it's really an opportunity lost for Leeds. So you think they're still in the bottom three now. They're still struggling. I'll just get that up here. They're still sort of in their relegation area. So 31 points. Obviously, Everton will get onto them a bit later on, but they lost also. So only 1 point behind Everton. But I guess when you a chance to go 2-0 up in a game like that against Newcastle, a really strong team, they'll be really disappointed to miss out on the points. I guess salvaging a point would be good as well, because I guess once a second penalty went from Wilson, I thought this game could be over. Leeds would get themselves exposed at the back. But I guess a great finish there from Christensen. And going forward, do you reckon Leeds can stay up now?
Well, I've watched the previous two games since the change of management has come in. I thought against City, they were actually really good. They kept City to a 2-1 loss. However, not taking any points on that game. It's a pretty good result against City, and they didn't seem to get dominated. The problem that's come around is they've completely changed their game style with 4 games left. They've gone from this open at the back, just attack, games where it would be 4-3, 5-3, big scoring games to Big Sam's come in.
It's a different style, isn't it?
And he's really even after watching the Newcastle game, they had none of the ball. And it was sitting back. Both their goals were counters. And it was about defending. However, they did concede 2, but they were very defensive.
No. And I think it's big to bring this up, that Big Sam's just old school style of just defending. And route one, it's a bit different this time around. It's like they're fine with the opposition having the ball and defending deep, but there seems to be more emphasis on attack, and I guess that sort of molds the team a bit better. Leeds is, historically a attack first team, like you said, but I think they still sort of showed a threat at times, especially in the first half. In that first 20 minutes, like I know it's at home, and Newcastle building into the game, but they looked really, really likely to score early on. Then I'm liking the way they're going about it. I just think like you said, it's just too late. It's too late of a change, and I just think it's going to be hard from now on. And Nottingham Forest seems to be stretching themselves away. I guess it's going to be Everton, realistically. Will Everton drop in and will Leeds get out? But I guess on the Newcastle side of things, a decent result. I guess going away to Leeds is not an easy game by any stretch. Now sitting in third, equal on points with United in fourth. You reckon they've got it wrapped up now, that top 4 spot?
I don't know. I think still one of Newcastle or United could drop out.
Yeah.
There's 4 points there, but I think Liverpool are going to take 9 from their last 3, which then puts pressure on United and Newcastle. United's last 3, they've got Chelsea at home.
Yep.
They've got...
Let's have a quick look here. And see
yeah. So Chelsea at home, I'm not too sure the other 2 are. I'll have a quick look.
So it's going to be
Bournemouth away.
Bournemouth away, which is a hard little test there.
Yeah, and Fulham at home. So United having a 4-point lead gap, again, and probably need to take 6 points.
Yeah. It's going to be a hard, tough battle there. I guess Liverpool will be good. I guess Newcastle, they've got a few home games, which is going to benefit them at home. They're almost unbeatable at the moment. But on a Newcastle standpoint, I think you'd be happy with that result, right? Going away to Leeds, I know they'll probably be frustrated giving up the 3 points, but to credit Eddie Howe's, man, they've stayed good and they've stayed consistent for long periods of time. And I think in this game, it was the quality of Isaac and Wilson that basically got them over the line for that point. Going forward, I guess, looking into the future, do we reckon, if they get Champions League, how much of a danger will Newcastle be next year? What are you thinking on that?
With the funding behind them, they're probably liable to go and sign another big player, maybe another 2 big players, probably lacking a winger. I know they had Almiron, but that was more a patch. I don't think he's a player that, if they're going to sustain Premier League, Champions League football, be sustained at the top 4, furthermore, look more to challenge in the future years for the title, he's probably not of the quality. He's probably a bench player.
100%.
A really good bench player to come on, squad rotation, when they are going to be playing more fixtures, getting towards what City are playing 50, 60 games a year.
Yeah, definitely.
He'll come in handy, but they probably do need a winger, a world-class winger, maybe another midfielder, because I think Longstaff isn't a Champions League football player. I think Bruno is.
100%.
He definitely can play there. Joel Linton showed he probably can.
Yeah.
And then they've got 2 quality strikers. However, yesterday they did play Isaac on the left.
It was interesting. Yeah, his impact was there.
Yeah.
But you're right. Going forward, he has to be down the middle. You'd assume, Callum Wilson, an awesome striker. I think he'll be made for English Premier League football. I think Isaac going forward will be their guy for the Champions League and big cup ties. But Newcastle are going to be seriously dangerous if they get a Champions League spot. The ability to draw in players will be incredible. I think you're right. Another midfielder to go with next to Bruno, and then a nice winger to accompany that striking position. It's only 2, but they probably can get 5 or 6 sides. But those are the most important, I reckon, going forward for those guys. So exciting first game there on an early kickoff on Saturday. Take us to the midday kickoffs. A few games going on at that point in time. I guess we'll start with our guys, United versus Wolves. 2-0 win for Manchester United. An ugly sort of game at times. Really, you looked at Wolves, a team that's safe. They're on the beach a bit. They were, bleeding some new players in the team. Lopetegui's got that team playing really, really well, but I think they'd be frustrated. They weren't at their best. And United just seemed to not quite click until sort of the right at the end of the second half. And I guess early in the first half, goals from Martial and Garnacho got the 3 points for United. But as a United fan, how'd you see the game?
It was positive to see Garnacho back. I think he needs to be a very prominent player in the future years, and especially at the end of the season with not knowing how long Rashford could be out for. I think he's the only player that can really mimic to somewhat what Rashford can do, create something out of nothing. We've got players like Anthony and Sancho off the wings who do create a little bit, but they don't create something out of nothing. When we're on the halfway line and there's just something needs to take on a couple players, it's not there. To me, actually, the game reminded me a bit about Ollie Ball.
It was a bit like that, wasn't it, at times?
It was. We didn't really concede a great chance, did we?
I mean, Wolves, I got no doubt, Wolves really built themselves into the game in the early second half, but they just couldn't get a shot.
No,
it seemed like a game that controlled the ball, they kept having corners, but they just couldn't get a clear, open shot. I think De Gea was not really challenged throughout the game, and I think defensively for Manchester United, when Varane's back, it just looks like a better unit. It looks more safe. The Casemiro and Varane, that duo is hard to get past, and I guess to note, David De Gea has now got the Golden Glove this year for the most clean sheets, and I guess with that defensive line there in front of him, Luke Shaw is almost player of the game, I thought, both ends of the field. But I I think United look safe that way, but it's just the last few games struggled to score. Haven't been able to score. Martial's been quiet. I guess he got a tap in this game, so that always helps him. But Martial struggled. Vega also struggled in recent weeks, so it took something right in front of the goal to give the team the lead. But I think it was good to see them sort of kick back into gear with a few goals.
Yep.
But I guess looking at the Wolves side of things, they've done their job. They're safe now. But I think there was good signs that like they're playing some really, really good football in the start of the second half. And I think going to next year with Lopetegui, he'll draw in some more players as being a renowned manager. But yeah, Wolves are a club that they're sort of stuck in the middle, haven't they? They've been stuck in the middle for a long time. Do you see them under Lopetegui excelling next year? Because you've got a lot of teams now that are in that sort of middle region, or do you reckon they just sort of hold where they are?
Well, when they came into the Premier League, straight away, like up the table into around the top 10.
Yeah.
And they've, as you said, they've they've stayed stagnant for a while.
100%.
But I don't really see them getting any higher unless they're going to have great funding, which they'll have to some degree. But with the teams now, really, we say the big six, but we've got to put Newcastle into the equation now and say the big seven.
Yeah.
Then you've got teams like Brighton and Aston Villa with Unai doing a masterclass, which doesn't surprise me, however, because the guy seems to know what he needs to do with teams that aren't bottom teams, but teams that are in the middle of the table and really excel with them. You've seen when he went to Arsenal and both at PSG as well, that he didn't really know how to challenge for titles with those type of players, because at Villarreal is really where he did his masterclass. Well, I remember as a United fan back in the Europa League final. Was it 2021?
Yes, 21,
Yeah, when we lost in penalties. I just never felt comfortable with him as a manager to the opposition team. I think that he is someone that will probably stay up there together with Brighton. Brighton's just Diaz Zerbi there. Just but then we don't know. They could lose a couple players. Players like McAllister are probably liable to leave, but they just seem to always pull players out of nothing.
So you got like an uphill climb. So you mentioned there a few teams. So Wolves, I guess, do they join that bunch? That's the big question. So they get someone to join that. To be honest, I don't think they do. Not quite yet.
No.
But some of the managers in this league are incredible. So the fact that Lopetegui is coaching a mid sort of table side, he's going to want backing though. And the Wolves, higher ups will probably allow that. But I just don't think, like you've mentioned, you've rattled off like 3 or 4 teams there that it's almost impossible to pass those guys.
Well, that's the top 9 really, you would believe. For next year.
100%.
Things do change. We've seen Leicester be in the top 6 up until 2-3 years ago and then just drop.
Yeah, now they're relegation.
But I think unless we see a Villa or Brighton go and have a mass exodus, they will be up there again.
100%. Yeah, so decent result for United. They're the ones who are looking obviously to win to hold that top 4 spot. Now 4 points clear Liverpool with equal games played. So we had a cool little run in there to see who gets top 4. Maybe when someone just talked about Aston Villa, a 2-1 win against Tottenham. Tottenham wheels just keep falling off, it seems.
I'll make a quick comment there. Watching the video with you and Flynn, I was a bit outraged as well with you putting Tottenham in 5th.
Yes.
I didn't, I don't know. Tottenham just never seem to do what they need to do. It's just, even now, they get rid of an interim manager, bring in Ryan Mason again, I don't know what I'm supposed to say about Tottenham, but nothing seems to surprise me. I think with Kane's going to leave as well. They've got a few problems for next year.
Kane's the identity of their style of play. So Kane suits as sort of 5-back because he drops in so deep. If they lose him, I think it's time, like I sort of said in that other video, if all hasn't gone well and it hasn't gone well, they just sort of blow it up. They go with 4 at the back. I reckon that you restart, you build a back line again, you build another midfield, because there's some players there, but obviously it just doesn't work as this system. And I think just feel like from the top down, it just Tottenham's just scream mediocrity at the moment. I was quite surprised. I thought they could at least hold on with the interim manager there, but now with Ryan Mason there, he's not really a manager. He's not a manager. He's not a Premier League manager, and just the performance ever since has dropped off. Struggled to get, I think, only 1 win the last 6 games, so really, really fallen off. And in this game here, Aston Villa just outclassed them. I know, again, it's at Villa Park and other places, it's hard to go, but Villa, it looks like 2 teams in the opposite direction. Villa on the way up, and Tottenham just seem to be plateauing out and dropping out. But I've been really, really impressed with Ollie Watkins. His turnaround under under Unai Emery and Unai Emery's style of play, the fast sort of pace and getting Ings and Watkins involved, it's been really, really impressive. How have you seen sort of Villa's rise? It's been really, really impressive.
Yeah, well, I think since Unai's come in, is it their second only behind City on points?
Yeah, just behind City, yeah.
So second behind City on points, and it's not like the guy's been in the job for 8 games. It's probably closing on 20 now.
Yeah, he's been there a long time.
It's an extended period that he's been in the job, and he's continued to pull out games. Even looking back at, he pulled out a win against United.
Yep.
Well, both times.
Yeah, but
he wasn't the coach the first time, but they took 6 points.
Definitely at Villa Park. He was the coach. It was one of his first games, and it was they dominated basically from start to finish. Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I think again next year they'll be only on the rise. The problem they probably hold now though is they start to get to that region of the top 6 teams.
Yeah.
You're probably expecting next year Chelsea to come back. How good, I don't know, but with the quality they have, you would expect them to be at least challenging for top 4.
100%.
Newcastle again to be up there. United surely are only going to get better.
Yeah.
Arsenal and City to stay up there. Liverpool to have a bounce back.
Yeah.
Do you see them finishing top 6 next year, would you say?
It's hard. So again, like I said in the other video, I'm really, really impressed by Villa. I love how the whole setup there. But you say that Pochettino's basically confirmed at Chelsea now.
Chelsea, yep.
He knows how to get the best out of players.
Yeah.
He's a player manager. That doesn't mean, I don't know if he can win trophies, but he's good with players. He gets players on side. So you got that. Arsenal are going to have to be back for revenge. I doubt they'll drop off that heavily. They'll be up there. City's always going to be there. That's a lock. United are going to be there again, I'm sure of it. And then you got Liverpool. That's 5 teams.
Or not even including Newcastle there as well.
And then you got Newcastle as well. So that's 6, right?
And yeah.
How do you fit Aston Villa in this? And then you got Brighton, you got Brentford.
And even you haven't mentioned Tottenham as well.
I think we're agreeing now. Tottenham, they've got at least a year.
I don't know how far they drop though. They won't be a top 6 team, I don't think. But do they take like a 7th position, play conference league the year after?
It's hard. Because I just think Villa right now look better.
Correct, but
more structured.
Tottenham are always going to have the better backing.
Yeah, you say that, but the Villa executives, they're throwing a lot of money at the club.
Yeah.
Some of the midfield 3 they've got right now, like I know Ramsey's from the academy, but there's a lot of money there in that midfield. I'm sure with Unai Emery there and a manager they trust, they'll throw even more money at it as well. I think you get another left back or like another full back to help out. Ashley Young's been playing there in recent weeks, which probably isn't like the future. Get another full back, get another centre back to help out Tyrone Mings, and then even a midfield like a Bruno Guimaraes.
Yep.
That team there, that's a serious team. And that's like a team that can, like a Newcastle, that could challenge next year. Unai Emery's one of the better managers in the league. You mentioned it earlier. He just wins things. I know he won, was it 3 with Sevilla, the Europa League?
Yeah, and then Villarreal.
Villarreal made a semi-final, quarter-final of the Champions League last year.
And the year after won the Europa League.
They basically, he's always a part of some sort of process. I think Arsenal was the third one out. But I think the egos of that club didn't suit, and the egos of the players like Aubameyang, Lacazette, he couldn't get.
To be honest, I think it really suit the current Arsenal team.
100%. I think anyone could suit that kind of the work that Arteta's done. I guess you got to take into account what Arteta's done with those players, but I think his management style, I consider him one of the top 5 managers in the league. So if Villa get the right backing next year, the performance on the weekend, they dominated Tottenham. I think Tottenham only got that penalty goal in the last sort of 3 or 4 minutes. So I think Villa going forward are going to be a team to be reckoned with.
100%.
I didn't watch the game live, watching United play, but watching the game back, definitely there's class there. There's ability to kick on from there. So maybe not the top 6 next year, but I reckon 7th or 8th again.
Well, they'll definitely be in the top 10. That's probably
if they unless they really fall off a cliff. But I can't imagine there's no players that really want to leave the club. I don't think. I thought Emi Martinez might want to leave when they were in the relegation zone, but now that they're back in there in the top sort of 6, he'll stay. See a World Cup winning goalkeeper in there. Ollie Watkins is going strength from strength up front. The future's looking bright, I reckon, for Aston Villa. They're 100%. And Tottenham next season will be interesting to see.
Well, we'll see what they do with the funding from Kane, because are we saying that Kane's basically guaranteed to leave?
I reckon he's off. It depends where he's got. United seem to be the top place, because Osman seems like he's now staying in Napoli. So you expect Kane to go to United, but there's about 100 million there to spend. So where they put that is, I guess, most important.
I think they won't go with a striker though. I don't believe they'll go with a striker. I reckon they're going to try and persist with Kulusevski, Son, Richarlison as their front 3. Because My biggest issue with Tottenham really is their midfield. I think the game's won and lost in the midfield. You look at the teams like what Arsenal's done this year. That's because of their players like Odegaard, Xhaka, Partey. You've seen with like when Partey doesn't play.
The drop-off's incredible.
The same with like City. They're one in the midfield. United from this year to last year has been because of their midfield.
Yeah, Casemiro.
So Tottenham really, apart from the start of the season when Bernanke went wild, they don't have quality at all. Their midfield, to me, isn't much better than Southampton's, who just got relegated.
Yeah, well, you got Oliver Skip playing in the midfield. Yeah. In all regards, with all due respect, not a top 6 midfielder. No. He works his backside off, but he's not a top 6 midfielder. No. Højbjerg, he's got some talent. I just don't think he suits the Tottenham system.
But I don't think he's not a midfielder you're going to have, as we were talking before about Newcastle, to go play Champions League football.
Yeah, that's a step. I think next year we're both agreeing Tottenham need to make some change in the midfield. I think defence before going on 100%. So Tottenham, unfortunately, another loss for them. Moving on to it, we'll sort of gloss over a few games. So Southampton officially now relegated, losing 2-0 to Fulham. It's been a really, really good year. So Marco Silva comes in since the championship. Everyone sort of thought they'd be struggling again, right? To the bottom half again. But I guess them and Bournemouth both have shown us that the level is increasing. Vinicius getting on the score sheet. Also Mitrovic. Good year for both those strikers. But Fulham this year just seems to be a solid season for them. They just established themselves in the Premier League. I guess any comments on Fulham from this year?
Well, they've just gone and recruited, I think, good players. Like the inclusion of Willian, I think, was really good. Bring some experience. Like we know they've had players before like Mitrovic, but they're probably a bit unsure. Like the bloke's always gone and dominated the championship, but they were confident this time would be different, which it was.
There was, yeah.
But before the season, there was still doubts. Was Mitrovic going to come into the Premier League and do what he's done to a degree in the championship? And he obviously hasn't gone and scored the 40-odd goals he scored in the championship. But what's he scored, 15?
Something like that, but he's injured for a big part of the season as well, so really impressive for Mitrovic.
Yeah, I think a really impressive season from Fulham.
100%. And then Southampton officially down now. It just seems that they just kept making the wrong decisions this year. Nathan Jones' appointment, his sacking, just never really worked out. Hassan Hoodle, I said with Flynn in the show earlier that he might not have been the best manager, but it seemed like he suited Southampton. He was their heartbeat of the club, and sacking him, and they kept trying to go the young player route. It just some quality players, it just hasn't worked though. And with the level of the Premier League elevating year after year, and the managers we're talking about being like the top 20 European managers in the world, some of them managing Villa and Wolves, mid-table teams. Sellers, that's the new manager's come in, a younger manager, just really struggle. They can't keep up with the pace of the league. I think it's unfortunate. They could easily come back and rebound back next year, but I think there might be some time there just to reorganise the club, sell a few players off, the likes of Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, so which players do you think they will get rid of and actually go to other Premier League clubs? So Ward-Prowse is the obvious one. He'll probably go somewhere purely... His ability from set pieces is just so dominant.
That could be another sort of Tottenham sort of signing. So you get someone in there who's had experience in the Premier League. He might not be your top 6 level midfielder, but what's looking like if they're going to miss out on Europe or they'll get Conference League, that's someone who can steady a ship for at least a year or so.
Yeah, maybe link up Højbjerg and Ward-Prowse again. Yeah. Well, they were partners in crime in the midfield at Southampton.
Definitely.
But I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's just, to me, a step back for Tottenham. I think it's more like he'll definitely go somewhere, but I think it's more like maybe a Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
maybe a Wolves. Yeah. To maybe
help out Neves in the midfield as well.
We always get the speculation that Neves is moving on. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen there.
Neves is leaving.
They might need a replacement. Yeah. So the speculation's been going on for 5 years. Yeah. To be honest, you probably start to doubt it now because of that. But,
But you think of him, Bella Kotchap's a quality centre back. I'd expect him to go. He might even get loaned away for the year and hopefully they get back up. But I think many teams like your Cities, we chomp at the bit, get him and then loan him out, but get him at the club. And then even Bazunu in net, it's quality. So I think Man City Academy player, will they try and get him back, or will other clubs? He's a very quality keeper. Someone will keep an eye out as well. But I guess you got a few older players there as Walcott and the like, where they go and join the fringes of like a Villa as like a rotational player, or West Ham as a rotational player.
I don't see Walcott moving on.
You think he stays?
I think he either retires or
he goes down with them.
Yeah. I think Bazzuno's a really good one to point out, purely because we've seen other Premier League keepers in the past that get relegated actually go on, because sometimes you look at Premier League keepers and you go, oh, they've leaked X amount of goals, but really it's the defence in front of him. You've seen with De Gea, like this year, he's been a lot better with a solid defence in front of him. A real key one to look at is Ramsdale 100%. Getting relegated with Bournemouth and coming back and really being probably one of the top 5 keepers.
100%. And his ball use, you don't see it as a lower team because he has to kick the ball long. But with a big team, plays with his feet, not the best shot stopper in the league, don't get me wrong, but he makes some timely saves. Remember the one at Liverpool? What a great right hand there. But you're right. I think Bazzuno is definitely a big option for a big club as a backup keeper. Yeah. Or even I keep looking at these sort of mid-table, like a Brentford would take. I know Raya's a good keeper as well, but just a bit of backup there, and maybe even like a Burnley on the way up. Do they snatch Bazzuno off them as well? But yeah, definitely, I expect to see some rotation at Southampton going forward. Yep. Unfortunately, they're out of leg after a long time, just sort of floating around that sort of bottom half. Another game that sort of just gloss over here quickly. Palace and Bournemouth, 2-0 win for Palace again. Yep. Roy Hodgson seems like he's 20 years old. He's inspired the team's playing exciting football. Some awesome goals in this game. Elise, his second goal running across right foot, far right corner, an amazing goal. Palace from, when Vieira left, I was thinking, was that the right decision to being now well and truly safe? Hodgson's doing the right thing. I guess my question is, does he come back next year? Does he coach again next year?
I don't know, but to me as a Premier League fan, it's really cool to see the likes of Roy Hodgson, Big Sam, Sean Dyche back in the Premier League. Really the characters of the Premier League, the ones that have been really the heart and soul of those mid-table, the teams just avoiding relegation for 10 odd years now. And they seem to have been wiped out, but they're back. Like you look at Hodgson, probably Palace were close to relegation, and he's come in, saved them. Same with with Sean, Dyche, and then Big Sam. However, he probably won't save Leeds. He's been given 4 games. Took it to Man City and taken a draw from Newcastle. You really can't ask for more.
I guess you look at these managers here as well, and it's not the traditional style. I think Sean Dyche sort of stick this traditional style, but Hodgson's playing some of the most expansive football I've seen Palace play in years, right? So they're playing some really exciting football. Big Sam's adapted as well, like we said earlier. He's a bit more on the front foot. Sean Dyche to a lesser extent, but you're right. Having these sort of characters back in the Premier League is always awesome. And unless Palace can find someone that's going to be better,
I think he'll stay.
You wouldn't not go Hodgson. He knows his players. He bought the Edwards in. He's bought these Matetas into the world, so he knows the players. He knows Zaha. He knows Elise, all these players. So it'd be rude not to keep him at least another year just to stabilise the team.
Yeah, well, unless you're going to go find like a Villa did. Unai Emery, something of that class, like a world-class manager, I don't think you would touch that, especially for next year. Seeing what he's done at the end of this year, they'd probably be a top 10 side since he's come in, in terms of points. Maybe not pushing the higher end of that, but a 10, 9th, 8th,
but they've scored the most goals since around Nem City will be close, but they basically scored 2 or more every game.
They had the 5-0 the first game he came in.
Exactly, and they've put teams to the sword, which is... Their home form's always going to be good. That home crowd is incredible, but they've seemed to be built on that, and a great finish of the season for Palace. Like you said, they were in the conversation there for relegation, but well and truly clear. And I guess a team also, a part that was Bournemouth. So obviously a bit of a dead rubber game coming into it because both teams were safe, but Bournemouth's resurrection this year has been incredible. I had them last. Dead set at the start of the season, I had them 20th, rock bottom. After that big Liverpool loss, I thought it's all written on the wall, but Gary O'Neill's done a great job, and I guess a quick word on him before we move on to the next game.
Well, I think Bournemouth have exceeded everyone's expectation. I think they were the one really out of the 3 that came up that you were probably thinking straight back down. But it's not really looked like that. You've had Forest and you've had
Fulham just sort of.
With Fulham really exceeding again expectation, and Forest probably being on the lower side of it. But you've always seen that the player, when you're bringing in 20, 30 players,
doesn't work.
Like Chelsea have done as well, it doesn't work. But going back to Bournemouth, I think they've really exceeded. I think the manager's done a great job there.
Is he up for manager of the season? We'll get onto another show, I guess, in a few weeks' time. But do you reckon he'd be up there for manager of the season?
He'd be up there. I think the ones you got to look at, you got to obviously look at Arteta.
Yeah.
With what he's done.
Yeah.
De Zerbi.
100%.
Unai Emery. The problem with people like De Zerbi and Unai Emery is, can you give them manager of the season after really only probably doing 9 months?
Yeah.
9.75 of the season, maybe some of them a half.
Yeah.
Like, can you? So yeah, he's definitely in the manager of the season conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Does he get the best managers?
Yeah, I don't know if he takes the chocolates, but
but definitely a shout out to Bournemouth.
Yeah, definitely
what
a shout out,
Say,
definitely.
To be in conversation with Chelsea on the ladder, who wouldn't have thought that, and fighting for the top half spot, really, really impressive. And yeah, good on Bournemouth. Good, another year in safety means more money for the club and more chance to develop. And I guess it's just finally on Bournemouth. Neto, the goalkeeper this year, has been incredible for me. Someone who's gone under the radar. He's not your David Rayas or your Ramsdale in terms of distribution, or not the Alisson stopper or De Gea shot stopper, but this guy does everything. Obviously, former Barcelona player.
And really, at one stage, I can remember him actually challenging to stay in for the number one spot of Barca. So it's nothing that surprises me. I think sometimes the Premier League gets watched too, like other leagues getting overlooked.
Yes, 100%.
So like the second keepers at Barca and stuff get overlooked. Neto has been a world-class keeper for a long time.
Yeah, so we talk about you talk about underperforming, right? So now we get onto Chelsea and Forest. So the battle of the 40 squad player teams. 2-2 in this game. Raheem Sterling double, Toyo Awoniyi double as well. This game basically summed up Chelsea for me in a nutshell. So all the possession, I think 70% possession to Forest barely getting 30, but Forest at the end of the game looked more the likely team. I guess a quick word on what you've seen Chelsea do this year.
Well, to be honest, watching the game, they were actually lucky that Sterling came up, because he's been a bit of a ghost this year. Again, they're just having problems scoring. I think they've tried to bring in Felix, Mudryk. They've had Matakule, whatever his name is. They've also had like the Sterlings, Mason Mounts underperform, Aubameyang. They've got the names, but the combination, I don't think it's like they're putting people that are out of position. Like even we saw on Saturday, we saw Felix playing on the left. He's your left winger. The combination isn't working. I think really it's just their lack of scoring. Obviously, they've had problems in the midfield, problems in defence as well. But like you need sometimes just to take the pressure off the defence, off the midfield by putting balls in the back of the net. Well, we saw something like Felix back in March being the player of the being the goal of the month with the only goal. Like they're not scoring.
I think it's been a clear problem all year, and I think just it was just somewhere in the game. The camera panned to Gallagher, and he's there looking to the sky, and you see like a talent player like Gallagher, who I reckon one of my players of the season last year for Palace, who did so well, has just been, I guess, a waste of talent and looks uncomfortable in a midfield that's so disjointed. You got Kante out for much of the season, but they just lack any sort of real defensive presence in the midfield. And then up front, you've got Kai Havertz is a 10 in my eyes, and he's playing as a number 9 in this system.
And again, they got Felix, who's the same. Probably another centre forward 10
that's playing up front.
And Aubameyang, I don't know what's happened there.
I think he's just too old. He's not the same sort of pacey, direct player he was. Sterling just, I think almost the pressure that was put on him once he signed has been too much. Because at City, he was like a guy that'd get into positions to get the ball to tap in the back of the net. Doesn't work that way at Chelsea. I think they've just missed the trick this year. And I think you get one quality number 9 and you get another defensive midfielder. Like Chelsea, especially with Pochettino, could be back next year.
Well, I think with Sterling, one thing to really look at is at City, as you said, he was more like a poacher. It was more getting into positions. Like you rarely saw him taking on 3-4 players. Whereas at Chelsea, it's like he's expected to do a similar role to what Rashford does. It's like be direct, come off the wing, take on 2 players. For you to score your 20 goals, you've got to do 20 marvellous acts. It doesn't work like that. Like that's why he did so well at City. I think at City, everyone gets a bit to the point where they're looked upon a bit you're overrated, because when you go to other clubs, you're never going to do what you do at City. But like I think he's another one that's really just got into the position. He's another one off the wing, a bit like a Haaland, where it was always like right place, right time.
Need to be there,
Whereas we're not seeing that. We're not seeing the likes of the Chilwells and the Reece James getting those balls nicely crossed from the wings, being in the right position. Same with like the strikers. They're just not happening at Chelsea. It's more like for them to score, it's such hard work. Easy goals aren't coming.
It's not coming. I watched the Bournemouth game a lot the week before, and some of their ball movement, ball play is incredible. They've got some great ball playing players, but it just seems like once the ball gets in the box, there's nowhere there to put the ball in the back of the net. So yeah, I think for Chelsea going forward, it's just getting that overcoming disjointedness, selling a few players off, and getting a nice tight knit squad. Similar in a way to Forest. So this game, I think they looked the better team towards the last 20 or so minutes. Obviously had sort of little to none of the ball at times, so sat back, absorbed pressure, but Chelsea again just passing the ball around, but not putting any sort of real pressure on the goal. But then Tayo 1 year, 2 great goals for them. A valuable point. This affects them at the bottom half of the table. They're sort of separating themselves a little bit. Just got the table up here. Now it's 34 points, so a win away with 2 games left to go. So they're basically safe now. A big point for them. I guess for me to ask you, Steve Cooper, a really good manager. I think someone who's respected. How do you reckon he's balanced a squad of 30 plus players?
I don't think it's easy. I don't know if you can always put it on the manager. You've got 30 players there. I don't know if that was a good thing. However, I will say one thing. I wouldn't get rid of Steve Cooper for one reason, because we've seen in the past, if you can get away from not getting relegated in your first season when you buy those like excessive amount of players. Like I'm expecting good things from Forest next year. I'm expecting in the likes just from defence, they've got Keylor Navas.
Yes.
They've got Lodi, Felipe.
Cooper in his own, he's decent centre back as well. So you've got some decent players out there. Yeah,
they've got decent players that really for me is if they can escape relegation, I see them going up the table. How high again? I don't know, because we've got so many great teams in the Premier League, but I definitely see them being a top 12 team.
100%. Yeah, they've got the talent there. They've got the squad sizes there. Obviously, probably need to thin it out a bit because it hasn't worked. But if they get a few pieces up, I think Brennan Johnson has been a shining light for them this year, and Tayo 1 year seem to be kicking into gears, sort of getting into pace of the Premier League. So that's good to see. And it's 2 amazing goals from headers on the weekend. But that result almost secures them safety. So they'll be very happy with that result, and on to next year, and on to, I guess, rebuilding this team to make it a more united unit. In the Sunday game, so 3 games yesterday and Sunday, starting with the Man City game. Not really much to say. I was expecting a better performance of Everton. They're fighting for their Premier League safety. I thought City, coming back from a Champions League game midweek, would struggle early on. I was talking to you off air that didn't seem like they really kicked into second gear, because they sort of just control the game, had it at their pace, had all the ball, not many shots on target, but the shots that were on target landed at the back of the net. Gundogan's first goal, amazing first touch and finish. Haaland, just second touch of the game, almost put in the back of the net, and Gundogan's free kick was remarkable as well. So it was 3 individual incredible efforts to score, and that was about it. Everton just didn't seem to really fire in this game.
Well, I think it was a typical Dyche performance. To be honest, I think it was about the 20th minute when it was 0-0.
Yeah,
Everton should have scored. I think it was a Tarkowski, a corner, which is
reminiscent
of Sean Dyche football. How they score, how they beat Arsenal. To be honest, it was a Tarkowski header.
Exactly the same,
but it was a Tarkowski header which came across the goal, and not really sure what Holgate was doing.
He should have just put his leg in it.
Put a leg in it and skied it over the bar. To be honest, I don't know if that goes 1-0. Sean Dyche gets his 4-4-2 back in place. Everyone's dropping behind the ball. You don't know what was going to happen. So when you say you expected more, I don't know if I did, because that's really what Sean Dyche is. It's if they don't score first, they don't win. And they could have done it. That was really what they created. They don't really create chances. It's all set pieces. From City again, I was expecting a little bit more again from them. I think it was a very flat game. Gundogan really did well.
He's a star of the Premier League.
But he scored 2 again. Was it last match day?
Something. He's been scoring
or the match day before.
So
he's back into his form he was 18 months ago when he scored, I think, 7 in 9 from midfield.
Couldn't miss,
couldn't miss. Haaland's just doing Haaland things. You put in the box.
He didn't score.
The guy comes flying. He's going to score you goals. Key to note that Alvarez started. And they had De Bruyne and Grealish on the bench. Obviously, that's because they got is it Tuesday or Wednesday night football?
Wednesday night football,
in the Champions League, massive game for them.
We'll get onto that in a little bit. But I guess you raise that point. It's a really good point. City, almost winning with one hand behind their back, basically. And I think that just sums up how good they've been. All those stats of after April, whatever it is, where they just don't lose or it's inevitable. They were going there, and you're right. After the first 20 minutes, they had that chance. Everton, I thought, gee, if that goes in, does this game change? And in a blink, it's on the other end, and Gundogan's putting the ball in the back of the net. So they're clinical. They're winners for a reason, and like are now Premier League champions with Arsenal, choking, I guess, at the end of it all. So easy 3-0 win for those guys. Going on to the other earlier kick-off on Sunday, Brentford and West Ham. Kept an eye on this game, especially the second half after the Everton game was basically lost. Really, I guess, two teams in different sort of positions. Obviously, West Ham got the Conference League semi-final second leg also this week. So they rested the likes of Ben Rama and Declan Rice and gave some younger guys a chance out there. But the first half was basically where it was won. So Vissa scoring, Mbeumo scoring for Brentford. But I guess Brentford, again, such a successful season. Thomas Frank at the helm there, doing a great job. And they just play such exciting football to watch. Second half, despite not scoring, they were peppering the West Ham goal. I think really, really good to see. I guess your thoughts on Brentford's season so far?
Yeah, well, Brentford's season's been really good. I think Thomas Frank's a great manager. To be honest, probably again another one that I would have put them around that. Probably not as high as they've achieved, but around there, because we saw from last year, they had a very good season as well. So you start to expect it. The scalps against the big teams. Well, you started off, was a match day 2 against United, 4-0.
Yeah, definitely.
They've had another, I think they took points off Arsenal, beat Chelsea.
Took points off Tottenham as well, I'm sure.
Took points off Tottenham. They beat Liverpool in one of the match days. I don't think in both, but in one of them. So they seem to be like a giant scalper. So, if they can continue with that and then probably just take the points they need off the teams below them, that was probably a little bit of their problem this year. They were a bit like Robin Hood. They stole from the rich and gave to the poor.
Yes, it felt like that. It's a great way to say as well, because at home, their home form's been incredible, but mixed in there are some sort of, I guess, for fans, painful draws against sort of teams their level. So they're beating some big teams at home, but they're not losing. It felt like lost sometimes, but just drawing against some sort of average, mediocre teams. So I guess you're right. The next step is to keep taking from and winning big points against the bottom sort of teams, and then take the odd scalp against the top 6. Which again, another great season. Thomas Frank, again, another one of those managers where you think, at this level, he's bringing this team so far up. Second season syndrome's a real thing in the Prem. And the fact they didn't fall for that, a great year, sitting 10th, 9th, around there, I think they'll take that. And if they can sit there for a few years, sort of in that sort of mid-table position, you get enough, financial support, another team, they can just rocket themselves back up. You've got 4 to 5 teams out of just sort of sitting there fighting for sort of 6th to 10th. So it's be really interesting to see how they go next year. Get on West Ham. I think West Ham, they got that Conference League semi coming up, so it's a big competition for them. Haven't won a trophy in like over 50-something years, so that's going to be a big deal for them. So fair enough, they rest their big stars. I guess the only question for me about West Ham, does Declan Rice leave in this year?
I think he does. I think that he'll leave and go to one of the, like, as we say, the top 6, big 6. He could even, you never know, he could even go to somewhere like Newcastle, because having him, because Bruno does like to attack more. Next to Bruno really could be a force to be reckoned with. I think he'll definitely go somewhere. I'm not really sure where though. I don't think he'll go to a City or United. I think it could be a Chelsea. It's been like lingering on him to Chelsea, boyhood club for years now, probably at least the 2 years. So I think I don't think Newcastle are linked to him, but I think it would be a really good signing, especially if they're going to be in Champions League next year, which is kind of assumed now. Further looking into West Ham's season, I think it's been a bit of a letdown. Because they've got the players there, like they've got quality players, the likes of the Ben Ramas, the Bowens, Mikel Antonio, as you said, Declan Rice, and Souček.
I think that's the big thing. Souček and Soufal are the two keys of like their COVID and first year out of COVID form have just sort of fallen off. And it is because of old age and the like. But yeah, you're right. Disappointing. I thought they'd be, again, one of those teams fighting for those few European spots. But I guess all eyes now are focused on the Conference League, and they can get a win there. Obviously, Europa League football secured for next year. So hope they can get through that. And because when West Ham are up and about, it's always really exciting to watch.
Very exciting.
That London Stadium crowd gets right behind them. But yeah, disappointing year for them. Obviously safe from relegation now, but the fact we're talking about them in relegation probably shouldn't be a thing. And then finally, the last game, and I guess the end of the Premier League title race basically came when Arsenal faced Brighton, and Brighton winning 3-0. I watched the first half of this, and it seemed like Arsenal had the ball. It just couldn't, similar like a Chelsea, just couldn't find a way to go through and score a goal. And Brighton just being Brighton.
Typical Brighton.
I just love watching Brighton. Oh. They did not look out of place.
So exciting.
Playing out from the back at Arsenal, at the Emirates, and a game they had to win. They look so comfortable there. I guess we'll start with the Arsenal, the disappointment of this season. You start there, they're leading by 8 points for 29th game week. They're almost there. A few losses to City, the draws to West Ham and the Southamptons. It lost to Everton, and it's all sort of crumbled, I guess, after the World Cup. How have you seen their season?
Well, I believe this was always going to happen. I just don't think they've got the squad depth.
Yeah.
When we looked at when they had to bring in Mason Holding, not Mason Holding, they had to bring in
Holding.
Rob Holding, instead of Saliba.
Yeah.
That was already a massive step down.
Yeah.
Because we're not having the depth. When you look at the likes of City, they don't have Diaz, they don't have Stones, they got Laporte, they've got Ake, they've got Akanji, they got players everywhere that you can put in. I think other things such as like Partey was injured for a little bit at this end of the season. I don't know. I think it's still a really good season for them. Obviously, no one probably even expected them to come top 4.
Yeah.
You look at the likes of bringing Jorginho for next season. That's probably another good signing.
Yeah, definitely.
And even like Trossard, however, yesterday was a bit like it was like a fairy tale for Brighton fans.
Yes,
comes on for Martinelli, who gets injured.
Then turns it over to us.
Yeah, gives away the second goal, and basically from there it was game over. But recapping again on Arsenal's season, I don't know. It looks like people are saying like they've choked the season, which they have. They had an 8-point lead.
Yeah.
But like the players they've had and the depth they've got compared to City, did you really expect any different? Like City have now gone on a 22-game winning streak. Like was Arsenal going to like not drop 8 points in their last 22 games? Like, I don't know. It's a hard one to look at. Yeah. Would you classify it as being a choke for Arsenal?
Again, similar to you. For me, it's a successful season. A choke, it's a word everyone loves to use social media, but I guess it is in a way because they had it there and they've lost it. But don't get me wrong, I guess Gary Neville keeps saying on Sky, the amount of pressure that is required and put on you to win a league is so massive. All the advertising, all the newspaper articles, all the fans saying, "Oh, we're going to do it." Like, especially not like London and Arsenal, like it's a big place in England and a lot of pressure and a lot of people. So I can imagine it's a lot to take on young players like Saka, Martinelli, Jesus to a lesser degree, but all these guys are young and I guess many have not been involved in this. So it's a learning curve. And don't get me wrong, if they can get maybe another centre back, another full back, and maybe a spare winger as well for next year, that's depth. That's ready to go. And could they go again, or will this sort of play upstairs in their head there with the mental side of the game? But don't get me wrong, they need to be applauded in their season because this has been the closest City have been pushed, I guess, for that 2 years, I guess, since Liverpool. But I guess we say Liverpool couldn't do it. They couldn't match it with City. Look at Liverpool's team, one of the strongest teams in Europe. So Arsenal, to a degree, they choked it, but they can't be disappointed with their season.
They got a young team, so they should only be up on the rise. But it's another one. I don't know. Do they challenge and win the title next year with the new manager in Chelsea coming? Could Chelsea do what they've done so many times? Finish 10th on the ladder, go win the league. We've seen it with Mourinho and Conte. You would expect United to be up there. I think it'll be a lot closer. I think there'll be
less of a gap.
Yeah, less of a gap. I think there'll be more of a title challenge from a bigger group next year.
Definitely.
Maybe even, do we see Liverpool coming back into it? You don't know.
Yeah, they propel themselves back 100%. I guess then Brighton, one like Brentford and Villa for me, one of those exciting teams. They play exciting football. Goals from Estupiñán, Undav, and Ciso on the end. And some of these players, like they're not your household names, but they're becoming your household names. So massive performance of Brighton, 6th place now, 4 points behind Liverpool with a game in hand there, 8 points from the top 4. It'd be remarkable if they got there, but still the fact they're challenging for top 4 this late in the season what a year from Brighton.
Well, yeah. I think, they took 3 off United. Well, they took 6 off United actually this year.
Yeah.
They've took points off Arsenal.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a great season. I think players that are really underrated, like the McAllisters of the world.
Yeah.
Solly March.
Incredible player.
Player. Then you got Enchiso.
Yeah.
You've even got Evan Ferguson, who now is injured, but he was doing really good. An 18-year-old coming out of nowhere. And I think he was averaging a goal every other game.
It felt like he was scoring every game he was playing.
Just going from strength to strength, like you saw Potter leaving. Is this the downfall of Brighton? Like, it was dangerous times for them, but De Zerbi came in and really they've just gone from strength to strength.
Yeah, 100%.
I think they're a better team now after Potter's left.
100%. And I was fortunate enough to be there at De Zerbi's first game at the Amex for that game, and the atmosphere was just so like electric that like you can feel that De Zerbi had the fans on the side, and despite them having a tough 1-0 loss to Tottenham that day, being there and just feeling the energy and the performance, I watched Brighton were better for most parts of the game, and it seems like I said, they're going from strength to strength, and all year they seem to be on top of teams for most parts of the game. No matter who it is, if it's City, if it's Chelsea, all these big teams, they control the game. Going to Stamford Bridge a few weeks ago, I know it was Lampard's Chelsea, but they just dictated the game from start to finish. And going forward, if they keep playing that ball, playing out the back, those midfielder Caicedo and Cisse, all these guys, Ferguson up front. If you can keep hold of McAllister as well, I think that's a big thing going next. If they can keep a hold of him somehow, some way.
Keep a hold of him and Caicedo. You don't want to really disrupt the whole midfield.
Because that midfield makes them tick. That's their strong suit.
Even like Lallana there.
Yeah. These guys are all playing a role to perfection, and De Zerbi has to be out there. For me, in my mind, I guess, looking at one of my managers of the season and the way he's just transformed his team, like, don't get me wrong, they were a ball-playing team before he got there, but now they're one of the best ball-playing teams in the Premier League. So I think his job there has been remarkable, and I guess a great way to sort of bookend the season with this big win against the potential title holders.
He would be my manager of the season.
Definitely.
I think Arteta would have given it to, but it's hard now to give it to Arteta. I think it's still looked upon as he's done wonderful with Arsenal, but the fact that he choked the league, as we all say, just is it was just such a letdown that it puts like a dimmer upon like Arsenal's season, even though it shouldn't. It does.
It does. It just does.
It's just what happens in football.
That's basically all the games this weekend. Obviously, Liverpool playing Leicester tonight, a big game for Leicester. Can they get themselves out of the bottom 3? And as it stands, I guess right now, we're only watching the relegation battle, who sort of falls in. But it seems that champion's going to be City again. There could be a bit of movement in fourth place. Do United drop out or not? Do Liverpool propel themselves in, I guess? So we'll find out, I guess, tonight, the way Liverpool perform.
Well, tonight will be a big one. I think if Liverpool take the 3 points,
it's all on for top 4.
Yeah, it's all on. But they've got to win tonight, because if they don't win tonight, they bridge the gap to, I think it'll be, let's say they get a draw, they bridge the gap to 3 points. I know the goal difference is better. But still, that goes then, United only have to get 4 points from their last
100%.
3 games, and I'd back them to at least get 4.
100%. Just a quick one before we finish up here. Champions League in the week. Obviously, I guess we'll start with the leg that's already leading. So the AC Inter game, a scrappy game at times. Inter obviously winning that one 2-0. But as we sort of talked about before, Rafael Leao, the game changes back in training.
Back training.
How do you see this tie going in the end?
I don't see them losing Inter from a 2-0 lead. But then you look at something like, there's no away home fixture in this match. The 2-0 win is really irrelevant. They don't have any home advantage. Maybe a couple more fans might be in the ground. But don't worry, the AC fans will be up.
They'll be loud.
And the Inter fans will be up and rolling for that game. So I don't think it's too big of a deal. I think Leao is a massive in. This year, really over the past 2 seasons, what he's done in the Serie A, what he's done in the Champions League, he's been exceptional. So to have him back, hopefully he's not playing with a bit of an injury still.
You'd hope
That's
not,
always a doubt. To be honest, he's probably been rushed back a bit. Such an important game for AC, not been around the Champions League finals for
a long time.
A long time since they had really that team of 05, 06.
We just superstars all over the pitch.
So I don't know. I can see an AC winning 1-0.
Just not enough to go
and
the
not
line.
enough.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah.
I don't think Inter will get any better than a draw, but that's a big statement I'll make.
Yeah.
I don't see them doing anything better than a draw. So
100%.
a draw or an AC win would be my prediction. I'd probably, if I had to predict it, go 1-0 to AC, which gets Inter to the final. But what are your thoughts?
I think I'll be very similar to you. So I think Inter will get through, but I think AC sort of win 2-1. So I reckon it's a 3-2 aggregate to the game.
Yep.
But I just think both teams are pretty experienced. I think Inter's just got a few more characters on their side, a few more people in the dressing room that can help them on the line. But you're right, there's no home ground advantage. I guess Inter with the lead it's basically got that sort of cushion. They've got 2 goals to really play with. If you get through the first half without conceding, you basically think you're on the right way, on the right track there. But each team will know what their strengths and weaknesses are. But I guess depends how good Real is. If he's really, really good and really, really healthy, he could change his game, change his leg.
100%.
But yeah, I'm with you there. I can Inter just sneak through. Yeah, a bit close on there. But then we've got, I guess, the big one, the mammoth one. Whoever comes out this side, people think that'll win the
this
whole
one's
thing.
a really hard one.
So 1-1 at the Bernabeu, a classic encounter. I guess Real Madrid always said haven't been at their best. They didn't seem at their best in this game. City, I guess, towards the end of the game looked the more likely, but only 1-1 going back to the Etihad. Who have you got going through in this game here?
Well, looking at the first game, really, Real scored early on when probably City dominated. But then in the second half, De Bruyne scored when really Real dominated. I don't know. See, City's the obvious choice. They're probably the better team on paper, better team right now in form. But I just can't go past Real. Like, you saw what they did last year, 3 games in a row, 90th minute. I know they've got to go straight to the Etihad, win there. But I just can't put it past them. I see a 2-1 win, maybe a 1-0 win. Yeah. Like, I know this year, I think City's something like 6-0 in the Champions League at the Etihad. Yeah. And that tells me that they will go and win. But I don't know. They've just... You thought they would have won last year. They were up.
Right at the end. Right
at the end. And they were 3-1 up on aggregate.
Yeah.
And they just didn't do it. So I'm not really sure. But I really wouldn't want anyone putting any money on this game. No. That's what I would say. But I'd probably go with Real.
Yeah, like I'm with you as well. It's so hard to go against the Champions League team. Like it's basically this team is made of the Champions League. You got like Vinicius, Rodrigo. These guys can flip a game in a switch. And we saw that goal. What a goal it was. Modric linking up. Oh, but their midfield's so strong. Their full line's so strong. And I know Haaland's, I guess, the guy. But I think if anyone's going to defend him, Rudiger's going to do the best job.
Well,
he did incredible
as well. Walker, Vinicius.
So those two, so for me, Rudiger versus Haaland and Vinny versus
that's where we
Walker,
won
I guess, is where the game's won and lost. And I can't go past Real Madrid. I feel like it's going to be one of those late winners though as well. I feel like it's going to be one of those games where it's either high scoring affair and it's a late goal, or it's just 0-0 and it's going to be a late goal. But I just think if there's any team going to beat City at City, there's only one team in the world can do it, and that's Real Madrid. So yeah, I guess I'm going to agree there. Real Madrid getting through to the final.
Well, we have mentioned key matchups, but probably don't want to put a low light on the midfields as well. Like 100%. They're world-class midfields. Like, they've got people on the bench, Real, that will be playing for most teams. Same with City. So it also could be a really good midfield battle there. I think it could be won and lost, like De Bruyne, the likes of Modric, the likes of Valverde. What a season he's having, by the way.
Remarkable. Remarkable. And you got Camavinga playing out of position at left back and still being one of the better left backs in the world.
One of the better left backs in the world. Wow. Next season's going to be worrying if they sign Bellingham. So. Yeah,
there's midfielders everywhere. But yeah, definitely. Awesome, good having you on today. Really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure to be on.
The first episode of the away days, more to come. Obviously, throughout the off season, we're doing transfer news, updates from pre-seasons and the like. But really appreciate you coming on. We'll be on for the next 2 weeks to cover the end of the Premier League season and hopefully the Champions League as well. Really, really exciting time for football in the world. Season's coming to an end. Please keep tuning to the channel. We'll keep posting our content every Monday. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep liking the videos. Keep sharing with your mates. Comment down below and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you very, very soon.